KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Show of hands here, folks. Who remembers Thad Turnipseed? You remember the name Thad Turnipseed, Grayson?
I remember the name, but nothing past that.
Thad Turnipseed, I know we have many listeners who will remember his brief stint at the University of Oklahoma, which I believe lasted just north of a year, not even a year and a half. But Thad Turnipseed was one of the OG additions to Brent Venables' very first staff at the University of Oklahoma as the executive director of football administration. And basically his claim to fame was he was credited as the behind-the-scenes architect of a lot of what happened at Alabama during the Nick Saban days. He was an administrative mastermind who just got stuff done for Nick Saban at Alabama. And then he came to the University of Oklahoma to work underneath Brent Venables, or I guess not underneath Brent Venables, but underneath Joe Castiglione and the Oklahoma admin for about the first year and a half of the BV era, as I recall. And he ended up stepping away to spend more time with his family, and there were rumors that maybe it was a little bit deeper than that, and he butted heads with folks towards the top of the food chain, and that was part of the reason for the separation. But regardless of what is true in that capacity and what is not, I recall that Thad Turnipseed did an interview in the spring of 2022. He was only a couple months on the job, and I believe he did it with Teddy and Gabe. I want to say it was on their podcast. But Thad Turnipseed said, and I'm obviously paraphrasing, Brent Venables is the closest thing to Nick Saban that he has ever seen, and there is potential to build something along the lines of what Nick Saban built at Alabama at the University of Oklahoma under Brent Venables' leadership. Now, did that feel, and does that still feel, a little bit hyperbolic? Sure. But back before Brent Venables ever coached a game at OU, I think there was a vision of what this program could become if and when it was firing on all cylinders. You establish the cultural foundation. You overhaul the roster. You compile, I suppose would be the proper word. You compile a highly regarded, capable, competent staff, and you do the right things in the administrative capacity as well to ensure that your program is well positioned at all levels to chase championships. And then obviously, you have to win football games. Because if you don't win football games, then everybody's out of a job at a certain point anyway. But my point in bringing that up is that I think we are finally starting to see glimmers of what so many folks imagined Oklahoma could be at the very beginning of the BV era. Because what you have right now is you have a very well-aligned administration and front office. You have an excellent staff that virtually to a man has done an outstanding job with their respective position groups this year. I know everybody isn't, we're not having the same conversations about Miguel Chavis and Todd Bates as we are about Joe John Finley. That's only natural. But don't really feel like any assistant on this staff is like a glaring liability right now. And the roster is as rife with talent as any Oklahoma roster that we have seen in, I would say, 7-8 years. Since the early Lincoln Riley teams at Oklahoma, and that is especially true on the defensive side of the ball. And now what is happening, Grayson? Now the Sooners are winning football games. Now the Sooners have established themselves as a championship contender, and now you're starting to reap the benefits of all of those factors on the recruiting trail as well.
Yeah, barring anything unlikely happening, Oklahoma's going to be in the championship conversation, not just this year, but in the years to come. They're going to be in the conversation. They'll be in the top 8, top 12, top 15, always in the playoff conversation. Now, saying somebody can build something like what Nick Saban did, remember, that's a very different world.
Unrealistic.
I mean, now we're in the situation where it's almost like the NFL. And when's the last time we had a repeat champion in the NFL? You see what I'm saying? So it's going to be hard to have a Saban-esque dynasty in college football in 2025 and beyond. But what I will say is that Brent Venables has nailed down a culture, and they're going to win a lot more football games because of it. Because their defense is so good that it makes up for and enables the offense to be whatever the offense is. I don't know what word I want to put on it today. You can decide for yourself however you want to label it. But at the end of the day, what Thad Turnipseed in practice is saying is that, no, this dude's going to be around for a while. He's going to have Oklahoma uber successful. Championships are always going to be in the grasp. And I think we can say that about Brent Venables and this team because, my Lord, that defense is something. It is something, and it is a treat to watch.
I want to get to your thoughts on the game in just a second. But
Okay.
First, I want to acknowledge there is a lot to talk about from a recruiting standpoint that we will discuss throughout the hour. There's a lot of recruiting news that we got to run down on this Monday. And what the kids call motion, Oklahoma has it right now, late in the 2026 cycle, to the point where the Sooners could be one of the country's biggest winners, maybe the country's biggest winner in the last couple of weeks until early signing day. But we will dig into all of that in just a few minutes. First and foremost, as we do every Monday, let's talk about the game, Grayson. What'd you like? What didn't you like? What did that say about Oklahoma football and what they are identity-wise on Saturday?
Well, by the way, let me correct myself. The Chiefs did win back-to-back Super Bowls recently. Should amend that statement to how often does that happen in the NFL. Now, y'all get what I was saying on the text line, those of you who called me out for it. But as for this game, I think there's two ways to look at it. There's either, oh my goodness, this defense is great, we can win a national championship, or this offense is just an issue. And I'm going to focus on the first one of those things because this was the best running attack in the Power Four. Top 5 for sure. And you shut that thing down. I mean, just shut it down. And you said after the Alabama game, Parker, that it seemed as if Brent Venables was feeling out Alabama. I didn't really feel that way. I did feel that way about this Missouri game. I did feel like, okay, we didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. We didn't know what their plan of attack was going to be. So they go down the field on that opening drive, Missouri does. The defense makes a stand, aided by a Missouri penalty. And then after that, it was clamps until the drive where Missouri drops the ball in the end zone, drops the touchdown that could have made it a one-score game. Brent Venables' defense showed up to play and carried the day. Owen Heineke, Parker, might be one of my favorite players to watch. I love this dude, man.
He's so much
I
fun.
love this dude, man. And just the way that he attacks, the way he's decisive, the way he has an understanding of the system is outstanding. It's fun to watch him in person. It's more fun to watch him in person than it is on TV because you can really see, like, oh, okay, I see where he shot this gap or whatever. The only other thing I would say about this to the halfway negative is that offense has to pick it up.
They do.
The offense has to pick it up because we've been talking about what it's going to look like, what kind of atmosphere you would have if Oklahoma hosts a playoff game, right? But I noticed this in the stadium, and those of you that are listening that were in the stadium, see if you agree with me on this. In that third quarter, when it just turned into a rock fight, right? The defense was balling out, and the crowd couldn't bring itself to cheer when the defense got Missouri off the field, to cheer when the defense got a stop behind the line of scrimmage because the offense had sucked the energy out of the place. So it's one of those things where this offense has got to pick it up. No, it will not be great, but it's got to pick it up and get first downs and get into opposing territory because the way it looks right now, with exception of a few plays, it's sucking the energy out of the stadium so you can't get up for the defense. That's the only thing I'm going to say about that. Today belongs to the defense and Brent Venables today.
It's the second straight week where Oklahoma came away with a win that kind of exemplified why the Sooner administration hired Brent Venables.
Yeah.
All of the reasons that the Brent Venables hire made sense. All of the reasons that the fan base wanted Brent Venables to be their next head football coach 4 years ago were encapsulated in Oklahoma's performance against Missouri, just as they were encapsulated in Oklahoma's performance the week prior against Alabama. Oklahoma Jones on the text line says, I absolutely love that this team is always the toughest, nastiest, grittiest, and most physical team on the field. Simplifying the offense from a tier and doing away with the RPO scheme will enable this team to go deep this year. And look, how do you fix the offense? How do you get more production out of the offense? It feels to a certain extent like a chicken or the egg type of situation with Mateer and Ben Arbuckle. I both feel like they're leaving a little bit of meat on the bone. It doesn't help that Oklahoma's backfield is absolutely ravaged right now. But here's where I stand on all of this. LSU should be a team that you beat handily this weekend, especially starting backup quarterback Michael Van Buren in place of Garrett Nussmeier. There's no excuse not to handle LSU. Provided Oklahoma does that, they're going to get 3 weeks off before the college football playoff begins. That is more than enough time for Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock to get right, which will go a long way towards helping Oklahoma unlock the running game again. And also, I don't know how consequential you would consider this to be, but you're going to get Javonte Barnes back for the postseason because he can play in the postseason without jeopardizing his redshirt status.
Let me ask you this, though. Would the coaching staff be elated to put him back out there after he's been on the shelf for so long? What do you think the staff would do if he said, hey, I can play and not affect my eligibility? All right, but you've been on the shelf for so long. Do we really want to reinsert you unless we absolutely have to?
I don't think he's your first option. I don't think he's your second option, but he's an option.
Okay.
And we know he can pass protect, which Oklahoma may have use for at a certain point, a running back with that skill set. So get the backfield healthy, and I think that's going to help. I really do want to know whether it is Ryan Foje or Derek Simmons that is going to be Oklahoma's starting right tackle moving forward, because for 2 straight weeks we've seen them both. Not really sure how I feel about that. Actually, I know how I feel about that. I don't feel great about it. I want continuity up front. But you tip your cap to Isaiah Satania, man, who just continues to make plays for this offense when they don't have much else. 87 yards to pay dirt on a simple crossing route where he just basically hit the edge and outran everybody on Saturday, and that completely changed the momentum in that football game and helped Oklahoma seize control, which it never really felt like they lost from there on out. If you have thoughts on the game on Saturday, please let us know on the text line, 405-651-3439. But, man, I'm at the point where I'm not going to complain about how this team wins football games. They're winning football games against marquee opponents. They've got 5 ranked wins this year. They're a win away from hosting a college football playoff game next month. Yeah, they scored 17 points on Saturday. Is that going to be enough to win most games? No, but it was enough to win this game.
And that's kind of how you have to look at it.
And the buzzword that we have heard all year from Brent Venables and Ben Arbuckle and so many members of this Sooner staff and roster is the phrase, doing what winning requires. And that is what this team does. I also want to mention this, Grayson, because I feel this strongly. Oklahoma is exactly the type of team that no CFP contender, especially none of the high-level CFP contenders like Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Oregon, etc., this is exactly the type of team that none of those teams want to play. This is exactly the type of team that you do not want to see on the schedule because you know what they're going to do. They're going to muck it up. They're going to slow you down. You're going to wind up playing their style of football, and you're going to have to beat them at it.
I mean, you can look at it that way. And I do think there are teams ahead of Oklahoma that want no part of Oklahoma. Now, do I think Ohio State is one of those teams? No. Because I think Ohio State can beat anybody. That's just my feeling on that team. But what you're alluding to, I think, is a point that makes you dangerous and what has me on the precipice of coming around to this team being able to win a national championship despite an inept offense. And that's the fact that Oklahoma dictates everything, right? They're dictating tempo, they're dictating how you have to play, and they're setting the tone. Like you just said, I know I'm echoing that. When you do that, you can beat anybody. Now, do I think with an inept offense in the year 2025 that might have an expiration date? Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know at this point. But they are going to be a terrible matchup. I think if they played Ole Miss again, Oklahoma wins that game. I think if they played Alabama again, maybe. Do they beat Texas Tech? Probably. So I do think there are teams ahead of them. There are matchups that potentially await that Oklahoma's style of play, however bad the offense is, would be good enough to get it done.
Such an old school football team, man. It's a throwback football team. This is not the type of football team stylistically that you expect to be right there in the championship hunt in 2025.
No.
But here they are. Folks, this is just a ton of fun. Oklahoma's in the championship hunt again. I don't want to lose sight of that. I don't want to try to pick this apart from every possible angle that we just completely lose sight of the obvious and nebulous reality of the present, which is that Oklahoma looks like a championship team again. Are they going to win a championship? I don't know. Would I pick them to win a national championship right now? I would not. But this team's got something special going. This is one of those teams that you will remember. Even if they don't go all the way, you will remember the 2025 Oklahoma Sooners.
Oh, yeah.
For the right reasons, as opposed to the reasons why you will remember the 2024 Oklahoma Sooners, for instance. 405-651-3439 is the text line, and the Sooners are capitalizing on this program's momentum, and they are on the verge of making some stuff happen on the recruiting trail. We'll dig into that coming up next here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Every day, 32 people in the U.S. lose their lives in crashes involving a drunk driver. That's one life every 45 minutes.
The victims aren't just numbers. They are mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters whose lives are forever changed.
From life-threatening injuries to years of recovery, the aftermath of a drunk driving crash can be devastating. If you or a loved one have been hurt by a drunk driver, you don't have to face it alone. Call McIntyre Law at 405-777-7000.
They don't want to hire you because your paper might say Oklahoma School for the Blind.
I was just completely homebound because I was always too afraid to go outside. I want to be a productive member of society, and that's what DRS has given me.
They offer you opportunities to getting a job, helping you learn how to advocate for yourself, find the best way to try living your life in the fullest way possible.
Oklahoma and DRS has been the biggest blessing in my life.
See me.
And not my disability.
The TSET Healthy Youth Initiative is making a difference in every corner of Oklahoma, working to prevent teen tobacco and vape use, fueling our minds and bodies through health education, and empowering the next generation of leaders. Why? Because we are the future of Oklahoma. The TSET Healthy Youth Initiative, investing in Oklahoma. Learn more at tsethealthyyouth.com. Brought to you by the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust.
Sidelined by injury, illness, surgery? Valor Physical Therapy and H2 Health Company can help. A 10-time Community Choice Award winner, let our skilled therapists create a rehabilitation program individualized just for you. Whether it's sports or the activities of life, let Valor get you back in the game. Start now at valorpt.com or call 405-609-3637. No referral needed. Mention the Ref and get a free t-shirt at your first appointment.
Let's
Turkey. Riverwind is OKC's favorite place to play.
And we've got plenty of jackpots to be thankful for.
Why stop at one thrill when you can chase all three at once?
Play blackjack, baccarat, and roulette on our all-new gaming machine.
Looking for the best in rewards? Elevate your player status when you win with your wild card.
Fridays in November, play for your share of our $120,000 Pixel Power giveaway.
Expect the best at Riverwind.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it expanding your balance. Spend it expanding your mind. Spend it wondering what comes next. Spend it trusting that God has a plan. Spend it taking small steps in your own life. Spend it making a big impact on someone else's. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
At Primrose Funeral Service, we have been compassionately serving families for over 80 years. Do your loved ones a favor by pre-planning your funeral and cemetery arrangements. With pre-planning, Primrose can help eliminate the difficult decisions at a difficult time, because nobody should plan for a loss at the same time they are experiencing one. Our sincere commitment is to make things a little easier for you and your family. So contact Primrose Funeral Service at 405-321-6000 or visit them online at primrosefuneralservice.com.
To me, working at St. Jude, what makes it so special is that there's more research going on here. At St. Jude, we don't care who cures cancer, we just need to advance the cure. The heart of St. Jude is to take care of children with catastrophic diseases and to advance their cure rates, but we need to be able to do that for everyone. It's a bold initiative to try and bump cure rates all around the world, but it is our commitment.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news. Yeah, no big deal. Oklahoma just flipped the number 5 running back in the entire 2026 cycle back from Texas A&M. Folks, it is a done deal. We've been talking about this in the office for a few weeks now. There has been a quiet confidence in Norman throughout the month of November that Jonathan Hatton, the 4-star running back from Cibolo Steele High School down in the San Antonio area, was going to sign with Oklahoma on signing day, despite the fact that the longtime Oklahoma commit had decommitted last December and subsequently committed to Texas A&M in March. He had remained firmly committed to the Aggies ever since. And Grayson, you can I told you this a couple weeks back.
No, you did.
You did. I don't believe it. That's what I had said really from the jump, as soon as I started hearing the buzz about OU and Hatton. Yeah, that buzz is there. I don't really believe it. I don't think they're going to pull this off. How could they? We know how Texas A&M operates. The kid's a lot closer to home in College Station than he is in Norman, Oklahoma. There's no way, man. Plus the fact that they're about to land Messiah Mickens, seemingly, and they already have DeZeff and Walker committed. Come on, they're not going to flip Jonathan Hatton. That was my stance on it. And, folks, the buzz started to really, really intensify last night. And here we are less than 24 hours later. And the OG commit of Oklahoma's 2026 cycle
Literally
is back on board.
Hey, keep this in mind, too. Both of the OG commits we did not expect to stick. Jonathan Hatton and Daniel Odom. Both of those OG commits we did not expect to stick. And sure enough, we are about a week out from signing day, and here we are. Now, I will say this, because we talk about winning and, if you win, they come and whatnot. And Jonathan Hatton was committed to Texas A&M, who is also doing a lot of winning this year. So
yeah, it's not like you flipped this kid from Wisconsin, right?
Exactly. Well done, well played. But yeah, how did this even happen? Like, how did he get to the point where he's like, nah, I don't really want to go to Texas A&M? Because, it's not like they are inept with running backs. There's a dude named Le'Veon Moss who's had a pretty good career there. They're top 5 in the country. So, heck, how do you get to the point where you're able to talk him off of that?
The simple answer, and again, this was something I didn't really believe but I have no choice but to believe it at this point based on the events of this afternoon. The simple answer that's been cited to me by well-placed sources on the matter is that Jonathan Hatton's heart has been at Oklahoma all along. He committed to the Sooners back in October of 2023. Mm-hmm. I mean, way early. He was a sophomore in high school at the time. Stayed committed for over a year. Decided, you know what? I need to see some other options. I need to evaluate the choices, all of the choices that I have at my disposal. He was picking up offers from Ohio State and Michigan and Oregon, and the biggest programs in the country. Figured, you know what? I probably pulled the trigger a little early. I should be more intentional about looking around. Eventually settled on Texas A&M, an option close to home, a school with a need upcoming for a big-time running back. And I'll take you back. I did an interview with Jonathan Hatton back in April, shortly after he had committed to Texas A&M. And part of the reason that he said, I'll read you these quotes verbatim, but part of the reason that he said he chose A&M, despite his love for Oklahoma, was that A&M was in a position where they were going to need his services faster than OU was. This is what he told me back in April. This was his last conversation with DeMarco Murray before he committed to A&M. Quote, I just told DeMarco it wasn't anything y'all did wrong. Y'all always made me feel like home every time I've come up there. That relationship, he's still one of my favorite coaches to talk to, and I just told him that I think I got a better situation up there in A&M. I was just playing it in the future. Like, they got some dudes leaving. They got a lot. As soon as I get there, I'll be battling against just a few running backs. So I think that'll be easier on me. Not saying I'm running for competition or anything like that, but just the situation. He went on to say, quote, they definitely said they're going to keep in touch and keep recruiting me all the way until signing day. That new OC they got, he's definitely something. He's got something to prove coming from Washington State. I mean, I think they'll definitely have a better season just because of the work they put in this offseason. And during last season, all the injuries and everything, they got something to prove next year. This is what always stuck with me, though. I asked him if he was going to visit OU again at any point in his recruitment. And he said, that'll be a tough one. I might. I don't know. I might. If a kid's 100% committed to his school of choice, he's not leaving that door open.
Yeah.
So, again, not something I put a ton of stock into at the time. But now when you circle back around and you read those quotes 7 months later, in light of what just happened moments ago, it seems apparent that the kid's heart has been at Oklahoma all along. And can you really fault him for backing off his pledge after a 2024 season in which Oklahoma went 6-7, was abysmal offensively, and effectively was in a situation going into 2025 where everybody was on the hot seat and everybody was coaching for their jobs? Yep. There was no stability at Oklahoma at the time. There was a lot more stability at Texas A&M. But guess what? Texas A&M is 10-0 right now. Texas A&M is right there in the thick of the college football playoff conversation. They've essentially already locked up their slot. They're one of 3 undefeated teams that remain in the country. And yet, Jonathan Hatton is a Sooner today. Because all he needed was to know that that staff was going to be around.
What y'all got to say about DeMarco today? What y'all got? Look, I'm not going to be an apologist here and say that DeMarco Murray is a perfect head coach. I mean, that would be
running backs coach.
Running backs coach. Excuse me. I'm not going to say that. That would be intellectually dumb. But from a relationship standpoint, from the fact that throughout the course of this year, he's gotten the right backs on the field, I mean, what can you say about it? I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row almost, maybe 2 of the last 3 weeks, where we've had to be like, yo, give it up for DeMarco.
Yeah, and hey, by the way, everybody's asking whether there's a correlation between the Hatton recruitment and the Messiah Mickens recruitment.
Yeah.
I'll just be straight up with y'all. I no longer expect Messiah Mickens in Oklahoma's class. And you know what?
It's all right.
Doesn't bother me.
No.
Because watch the tape and tell me who's better. Spoiler alert. The answer is Jonathan Hatton. He is the number 83 player in the 2026 cycle and the number 5 running back in the entire country. My only concern, the only concern I've ever had with this kid is, did he physically peak? Has he physically peaked too early? How much better can he get?
That's a fair concern.
Because when I went down to watch him as a sophomore in the fall of 2023, he was already 6 foot, 6'1", in the neighborhood of 215 pounds. He wears number 28. He looked a lot like Adrian Peterson. You're like, oh, yep, okay, that's probably roughly what Adrian Peterson looked like when he was a sophomore in high school. Obviously, Peterson was an alien. I'm not saying Hatton is going to be that. But just to the naked eye, yeah, that's probably what Adrian Peterson looked like at that stage. The only question you ever have with a guy like that, especially when he is as good of a football player as Hatton was and is, the only question you ever have is, how much better can he get? And it's really hard to know the answer to that question, right? But you have certain guys that are late bloomers, and late bloomers turn out to be some of the best college football players and some of the players that outperform their standing as recruits and their status as recruits. But with a guy like Jonathan Hatton that's already 6 foot, 6'1", and 215 pounds as a sophomore, it does beg the question, is this all he's ever going to be? How much better can he get? That's been my only apprehension ever with that kid. What you can say objectively is that he is an excellent running back who's going to play a role at Oklahoma probably very early on in his collegiate career. Like, this is a guy that's going to play meaningful snaps, going to make plays, going to contribute substantially in the Oklahoma backfield. Is he a first-round draft pick one day, or is he a 5th or 6th round draft pick one day? You don't really know what type of career you're in for with a guy like this that flies so high so early in the developmental process. But it's hard not to fall in love with what Jonathan Hatton brings to the table.
And what you're saying is you don't know how much higher the ceiling is from where he is right now. I seem to have struck a nerve with the DeMarco point, and I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to ask a serious question here, okay? DeMarco's first year as the running backs coach, Parker, was what year?
2020.
Okay. So in the 2020 season, Ramondre Stevenson ran for over 5 yards a carry.
Yep.
In the 2021 season, Oklahoma as a team ran the football for just under 2,500 yards, 5.6 yards per carry. Kennedy Brooks, over 1,200 rushing yards. In 2022, this was the first year of the Brent Venables era. Even still, they got a 1,300-yard season from Eric Gray. And then after that is when the dissension has happened. What if the problem isn't DeMarco Murray? Like, what if it's something with the offensive play calling that has to do it? Because people will say, well, DeMarco can't get a good backfield. DeMarco can't develop. There has been a history of DeMarco Murray's rooms performing very well. What if it just hasn't translated between offensive coordinators and it's not his fault? And that's before we get to the injury part of things, too.
Well, exactly. And I was going to say maybe even more fundamentally than that. Has he had a healthy backfield since 2022? No, he has not.
And how often have they had a healthy offensive front for the entire season in front of them, too? Like, the more I dig into this, the more I come around to, wait a minute, this dude can recruit. This dude has had 2 1,200-yard rusher. He had another in Ramondre Stevenson when he played 6 games that ran for almost 6 yards a carry. I'm starting to think this isn't all necessarily DeMarco.
Angry Ronnie on the text line says, so now that Hatton committed, what happens with Miggins? Discussed it a couple minutes ago, but I don't expect him in Oklahoma's class at this point. I think he probably slides to Virginia Tech with James Franklin, if I had to guess. He was there over the weekend. But Jonathan Hatton, man, wow. What a flip this is for Oklahoma. This is the biggest flip this close to signing day, I think, since Peyton Bowen in December of 22. And I don't know if that really even counts as a flip, because it's not like he was still technically committed to Notre Dame, but everybody knew he wasn't signing with Notre Dame. So for Oklahoma to come out of nowhere here in the final days of the 2026 cycle and flip a top 100 prospect in the nation back from Texas A&M, undefeated Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
What a day it is for the University of Oklahoma in the world of football recruiting. They did lose a commit earlier today. However, they did lose a commit from 3-star linebacker Ja'Cory Smith out of Bryant, Arkansas. Now, I am perfectly willing to discuss this candidly as well. I think Ja'Cory Smith decommitted. I still want to phrase this delicately. I think the decommitment was more of an Oklahoma thing than a Ja'Cory Smith thing. And to that point, I think Ja'Cory Smith's spot in this class is going to be filled very soon here by another linebacker target. That being Dane Bathurst, who was on campus this weekend for his official visit with Oklahoma. The Sooners have 2 standing linebacker commits now in Bo Jandro and Jacob Curry. With Ja'Cory Smith decommitted, I expect that Bathurst fills that spot before too much longer here. And I'll be honest, when you look at Ja'Cory Smith's senior tape to this point, and you're mindful of the fact that as he told Hayes Fawcett earlier in the day in announcing his decommitment, the school that is trending right now, quote-unquote trending, is Memphis.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily the type of player that I think Oklahoma or anybody on the Oklahoma staff is going to be losing sleep about as far as his decommitment.
When it comes to evaluating linebackers, I will not question this staff. Like, I just won't. I mean, they took a lacrosse player and made him into one of my favorite. They made a lacrosse player into one of my favorite players on this team. When it comes to linebacker, and really when it comes to defense as a whole, but especially linebacker, I'm not going to question it. You felt like you needed to cut bait? Sure. You have earned my blind faith when it comes to that position.
405-651-3439 is the text line if you want to chime in. The news today, just to run it down for those of you that are just tuning in, Oklahoma flips 4-star running back Jonathan Hatton back from Texas A&M after he was previously committed to Oklahoma from October of 2023 to December of 2024. They lose a commitment from 3-star Bryant, Arkansas linebacker Ja'Cory Smith. But again, I expect that they will be adding 3-star Carmel, Indiana linebacker Dane Bathurst to the class in Ja'Cory Smith's stead within the next few days here. So, we still have much more to discuss, and we will coming up next, in addition to fielding many of your texts on the text line at 651-3439. Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton rolling with you here on a Monday. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. You're listening to Locked In.
This is The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
Hey, it's Dorian Oka for Totally Tickets. Hey, Ref Army, you looking for the best place to buy tickets to your next OU game, Thunder game, or the best concerts? My friend Mike, call him Fletch, and Totally Tickets has you covered. Visit TotallyTickets.com to find your event today. Oh, and good news, Ref Army, just type in the promo code KREF and get up to 10% off your purchase. Go to TotallyTickets.com now. They are the best.
No matter where you live, you care about one thing during bad weather: keeping your family and property safe. Scissortail Roofing and Construction is here to ensure just that. Whether it's damage from strong winds or a hailstorm, we will manage your residential or commercial project from start to finish. Call us today, 405-928-8089, or visit us online at scissortailroofing.com for a free estimate. Call Scissortail today, your trusted local roofing and construction company.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
My fiance is a veteran.
I did tours in Korea, Germany, and Bosnia before I got injured.
When Yusuf got out of the military, he needed help getting his disability benefits.
Luckily, DAV came to the rescue. They fought for me the same way that I fought for my country.
Every year, DAV provides life-changing support to more than 1 million veterans.
My victory is never giving up and finding more ways to serve.
He's pretty amazing.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
This is Jake Aldrich, partner at Aldrich Teasdale. At Aldrich Teasdale, we worked for the world's largest insurance companies before we learned how they truly treat people and know that they are out to minimize or deny what has happened to you. When fighting them, you need a lawyer who knows their game plan and will be there to guide you every step of the way. From your medical treatment to the final resolution, Aldrich Teasdale will be by your side. Don't wait. Call Aldrich Teasdale today at 405-447-HURT. That's 405-447-4878.
The holidays are just around the corner, and you've got a lot to look forward to. So this year, let's make sure the flu doesn't crash the party. Remember to get your flu shot, wash your hands, and practice good hygiene so you can enjoy cherished moments. Let's make this holiday season unforgettable for all the right reasons. Visit oklahoma.gov/health/fight-flu to find a flu shot clinic near you. Skip the flu, not the fun.
Hands are how we give. Hands are how we receive. To lend a hand and to hand it off. Hands are how we transform and how we redistribute. Our community needs a helping hand these days, and the United Way of Norman is there to offer it. From emergency services to vocational programs to grief counseling for the youth, the United Way connects your gift with the programs that will have the greatest impact on improving the lives of everyone in the community. Make your donation today and raise your hand for your community. Learn how you can give United at unitedwaynorman.org.
It is Thanksgiving week, and how can you not be thankful for Brent Venables? The country's premier defensive play caller might have himself the country's premier defense. Here in 2025, Oklahoma has a winning formula. Might not be sexy, but it is a winning formula. With the holiday season ahead, Grayson, we should also make our listeners aware of one of our fine partners whose work needs to be recognized and acknowledged as we get closer to the holiday season.
Yeah, that's right. The Center for Children and Families Incorporated has been in the Norman community for more than 50 years and offers a variety of prevention and education services to families in Cleveland County. So why are we telling you about them? Because we are going to be the host for a toy drive for CCFI, and we're asking all in the Ref Army to donate and help with sports items, sports balls, and teen gifts. So examples are soccer balls, footballs, basketballs, Nike socks, Thunder and OU items as well. So between the 18th and the 25th, which is tomorrow, we ask that you can just drop off any sorts of donations here at the Ref Studios. Again, this runs through tomorrow, so we can help the Center for Children and Families here in the Norman community. If you want to help adopt children or host your own business holiday wishes drive, contact CCFI at 405-364-1420 or email contact@ccfinorman.org.
405-651-3439 is how you get in touch with us on the text line here, folks. As we wrap up Locked In on a Monday, the Sooners offered a 2027 quarterback over the weekend, Grayson, for the first time since missing out on the Peyton Houston sweepstakes back in September. We talked about it at the time. In the immediate aftermath of Houston's commitment to LSU, Oklahoma was going to be content to slow play things at the quarterback position in the 27 cycle. They were not going to rush to make a new offer. They were going to take their time with evaluations. They were going to settle on somebody that they felt was the ideal candidate to spearhead their 2027 class from the quarterback position. And they landed this weekend upon Saraland, Alabama, 3-star prospect Jamison Roberts. 6'3", 190 pounds. He is in his very first season as the starter down at Saraland High.
Mm-hmm.
He has that team sitting at 12-0 and in the state semifinals. He has thrown for 32 touchdowns this season. He has rushed for 19 additional touchdowns. So tally that up, 51 total touchdowns for Roberts in his very first year as a starter since taking over for, how about this, Texas commit KJ Lacey. Or I'm sorry, not Texas commit KJ Lacey, Texas freshman KJ Lacey. He was a long-time Texas commit. He signed last December. He is a freshman right now at the University of Texas. So he graduated this past offseason, handed the reins to Jamison Roberts, and now Saraland High might send back-to-back quarterbacks to the SEC, one to Texas, one to Oklahoma, because there is a lot of reason to really like where Oklahoma stands immediately with Jamison Roberts. Have you had the chance to watch the tape on him?
Oh, yes, I have. Come on now, I'll do my homework.
Thoughts?
He's interesting. He's an interesting player, I think. His ball placement's really cool, man. Is on his tape, his ball placement is pretty dang cool. You know what he does that I really like? He can make the play with his legs. He can scramble. He can get out of trouble. But he's got good feet in the pocket. He's got a good awareness for where he is in the pocket and spatial awareness in the pocket. And then he'll break the pocket when he needs to. But otherwise, man, he's looking to deliver the ball, stands in, delivers it accurately to his receivers. Now, if you are thinking that my exact synopsis of this guy is the antithesis of one quarterback in college football right now, you would be correct. You would absolutely be correct. And it was my thought when I was thinking about this. But I mean, he seems like a dude who's under control, still needs more development. But I think if Ben Arbuckle offered this guy, he thinks I can run my offense through him. And I think he would be correct because he's got a good arm, a good understanding, and he's got good balance and good poise. So I like the offer. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they're able to close the deal and bring him in.
This is a kid, and don't be fooled by the 3-star label because he's going to be a blue chipper. Again, first season as a starter, as a junior down at Saraland High. Kind of parallel in a certain sense to Bo Bentley in that regard because Bo Bentley was a nobody until his junior year of high school. That was the first opportunity that he got to serve as Salina High's starting quarterback down in Texas. So Roberts, I think by quarterback standards, could be considered a little bit of a late riser. Oklahoma's pretty early to the table here. Auburn and Duke and Syracuse, I believe, are his only other 3 P4 offers. There will be more. But what helps Oklahoma here is that Jim Nagy is very well connected with Roberts' camp. Jim Nagy, of course, lived in the state of Alabama for many years. Worked in Mobile as the executive director of the Senior Bowl, which takes place in Mobile. He has been a longtime friend of Jamison Roberts' QB trainer, and there are several other staff connections there at Oklahoma that has enabled Jamison Roberts to feel at home and comfortable even after his very first visit, because this offer came after he was on campus over the weekend. He was on campus for Oklahoma's victory over Missouri this weekend. So got the chance to talk to Roberts yesterday. He said right off the bat he felt very comfortable at Oklahoma. Feels like from every standpoint they check the requisite boxes. Gave credit to Ben Arbuckle and John Kuzieski for their past quarterback development at Western Kentucky and Washington State. And Oklahoma is going to be a serious, serious contender. I would call them the leader for the time being. Will they wind up with his pledge? We'll see. It kind of depends on who else throws a hat into the proverbial ring. But the Sooners are going to be in very, very strong shape, especially because I think much like they did with Peyton Houston, this is going to be the only guy that they prioritize for the foreseeable future until they have a decision or a strong sense one way or the other of where he's leaning.
A lot of people on the YouTube chat, John here says, I must be DeMarco's son. And somebody else has also asked me if I'm related to DeMarco.
Really?
Yes. No, I'm not related to DeMarco.
Why? Oh, because you're just vehemently defending DeMarco Murray?
Because of my defense of him. Tyson from Stigler on the text line. How do you feel about Bo Bentley? How is he doing this year? Since you made the comparison between Roberts and Bentley. And by the way, I do see a lot of that because they move in kind of the same way.
They do. Bentley is a lot twitchier of an athlete than Jamison Roberts is.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, he's a lot more, I guess the word maybe that could be used to distinguish Bo Bentley's running style from Jamison Roberts' running style is elusive. Bo Bentley's going to be a lot more of elusive of a runner than Jamison Roberts. But I'm sorry, you asked me a question.
Yeah, no, Tyson from Stigler. Yeah, Tyson from Stigler. How do y'all feel about Bo Bentley? How is he doing this year?
That's right. The question was about Bo Bentley. Well, his Salina Bobcats are undefeated.
Yes, they are.
He is still yet to lose a game as the starting quarterback for Salina. What's crazy is his head coach is on administrative leave right now because there is a controversy swirling down there at Salina High to which he is tangentially connected.
Interesting.
You can hit. I don't want to discuss it. You can hit a quick Google search and you'll find out all you need to know about that situation. But despite the fact that his head coach has been on administrative leave, they are still undefeated, still in the mix for a second consecutive Texas state title in the 4A ranks. And Bo is having a spectacular season. I think I've seen 3 of his games this fall. Yeah. He looks like a dude. And the rankings reflect that. He is, I believe, by consensus across the recruiting industry at this point, a top 100, maybe even top 50 prospect in the nation. I know Rivals has him at number 42. ESPN and 24/7 each have him just outside the top 100. ESPN has him at 103, 24/7 at 106. So he is regarded by consensus as one of the finest prospects in the nation, regardless of position.
Yeah, and he's going to be a good player. I was talking about this with my barber last week. He was asking me, like, is Bo going to be the dude? Yes, Bo is going to be a dude. I think he will be a dude. By the way, I think Drew from Flower Mound hits the nail on the head when he says Salina is embroiled in some goofy stuff.
You could say that. By the way, Oklahoma trending for another weekend visitor. Not shocking. We talked about it going in, but it does look like they're going to flip SMU safety commit Markel Ford. And this is a 3-star. 3-star U. But I really, really like Markel Ford. And I think this is going to be a guy that as long as he gets to Oklahoma and buys in and dodges the injury bug, man, he is somebody along the lines of like a Delarian Turner Yell that's going to drastically outperform his ranking as a recruit. And I'm not necessarily making a player comparison there. The guy that he actually reminds me of in terms of his style of play, and they are not one and the same physically, Ford is taller and a lot heavier, but in terms of his style of play, he reminds me a lot of Jaden Hardy. And if he can be kind of a juiced up version of Jaden Hardy in this defense for Oklahoma, yeah, you're going to get your money's worth at that point.
Tyson from Stigler also says, Jaden Petit news, ?
Still no news.
Okay.
Still no news. We might not know until signing day at this point, folks, but we're very, 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 very close. 9 days away from early signing day, so we're going to know before long one way or the other. I hate the waiting game just as much as you do, but we're going to get a resolution soon.
Can you give us a % chance that he ends up in Oklahoma's class?
I would say there is a 70% chance he winds up flipping to Oklahoma. It is 75. I'll go 75. Spartan Sooner says, they got to zip it with the 3-star U. Boganowski was a 3-star, and that dude is a player. Ron, the old truck driver, added, I'll take all the Taylor Wine 3-stars we can get.
Is he good? Because I know he went down in the game on Saturday. Is he all good?
I think he got poked in the eye.
Okay, so
I think that's all it was. Because, he was on the field like 2 or 3 plays later.
Right, I remember. Just making sure there's no residual something going on here.
No, it'll be interesting to see whether Jaden Jackson plays this weekend or not, because he was another guy that got dinged up. To be clear, nothing severe there, nothing that's going to keep him out in the long term. But if you're Oklahoma now and you're in a situation where you got a team coming to town in LSU that just has very, very little juice whatsoever, and going to have little motivation to go and win this game, you thinking, hey, maybe we can do without Jaden Jackson. Maybe we can just hold him out, make sure he's 100% for the college football playoff. I mean, those are real conversations that are going to be happening within this week.
Because you got depth at that position.
You do.
I mean, David Stone, Dominic Williams, I thought played his best game of the season.
He did, man.
This weekend.
Yeah, and with where Oklahoma's defensive front is at right now,
Marcus Strong looks good.
He looks awesome. You haven't missed our Mason Thomas. Who's to say you'd miss Jaden Jackson? Which is wild to say, but that's how deep and how talented Oklahoma is on the defensive front right now. Who's to say you would miss Jaden Jackson?
And also how bad LSU is on offense.
All right, folks. 405-651-3439 is the text line if you want to interact with us all day here on The Ref. But we are done. For Grayson, Singleton, I am Parker Thune. This has been Locked In. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Tyler and Ted are next.